Okay, welcome. So today I wanted to just make some reflections about coeducational boarding school and especially about podcasts that will be going live most probably on Friday, talking where we talk about coeducational boarding schools. Okay, enjoy. So yesterday I had a conversation with Amelia White, who's a humanistic counsellor. And she specialises in working with ex-boarders. And how this conversation is fascinating is that not only did Amelia go to the same school as me, but she was also on the same year. And while I wouldn't say she was a friend because I was very shy and quite dysfunctional on one level, that we used to hang out from time to time, certainly as we got a little bit older. So it's amazing that she's now doing the same work. She's trained with Nick Duffel. So we had a great conversation a bit about our experiences of boarding school. And I noticed one of the things that I struggled with at school was not being able to speak. That came up a little bit. Sometimes I lose my train of thought when I'm having conversations with people. And this used to be something I struggled with at school, and I used to just not talk. So it seems quite strange to me now that my work is talking and interviewing people, because it's something that I was so uncomfortable with as a child. So that came up a bit in the conversation. You might notice it. Sometimes I say something doesn't truly make sense, and that's due to boarding school. That I'm stupid. I used to tell myself as a child that I was boring, there was something wrong with me, that I was stupid. I remember some kids when I was 14 coming up to me a bit older, and they used to mock me. They'd go, "Oh, do you think you're boring, Piers?" And I say, yeah, I'm boring. So that was kind of the wound. So we had a great conversation, me and Amelia. We talked about, some of the differences between boarding school, coeducational and single sex, and really what she was saying, and I agree, is that actually there's very little difference. It's the same trauma. It's that attachment trauma. It's like, yeah, you're separated from your parent. You have to find these survival mechanisms, and it's like these same kind of negative traits which run across the board. Struggle to trust anyone. She was saying that was a key one. Lack of vulnerability, lack of safety, shame. These things, they run across from coeducational to single sex. We also talked a little bit about this idea: has modern boarding school changed, especially as so many single sex have now become coeducational. And she's saying she's talking to one of her colleagues who works in a coeducational boarding school now. She says, no, it's not changed at all. Although there is more safeguarding for the adults, the children are still being left to fumble sexually, around, as in they're just left to their own devices. Because as an adult in these boarding schools, they are under so much pressure, risk assessments, safeguarding. They've got so much paperwork they need to do. They can't spend any time with the children. They're missing that parental safety almost. And Nick Duffel talks about that. So yeah, and she mentioned as well this idea that as boarding school, we're brought up on islands. It's like a fence around us, totally disconnected. We wore different uniforms from everyone else. It was like we're educated almost on a different continent to Britain. So when we graduate, we go back into society. Well, how do we connect with other people? It's like we're brought up on a different continent almost. We're brought up on islands. And that's where you find so many ex-boarders. What happens? Well, they live abroad. They feel comfortable going abroad. I travelled first 4 years out of school abroad. I think, well, actually, no, 1 year, first 3 years were abroad. It's like, I, you know, and probably spent up until I was 30, no, until I was about 26, probably 5 years abroad, so quite a long time. As I start to do my inner work, I haven't been abroad now. It's like the island healing that, bringing that rift to healing. So yeah, it's a great conversation, and I'll put that live hopefully on Friday if I don't need to edit anything. But yeah, essentially, our boarding schools, coeducational boarding schools, single sex, different, realities is no, not really. The boys and girls might be there, but in your own boarding house, it's a bit like a single sex school. The same issues appear. So, yeah, just a fascinating conversation. So I really do recommend that. So yeah, blessings to you, and yeah, any questions, let me know. So see you soon.